You're listening to Arival Audio recorded live at Arival Bangkok 2019 and distributed here by Tourpreneur. In this talk, Google's head of travel partnerships for APAC, Eugenie Lam, gives the Google view on the best part of travel and what that means for operators of tours, activities, and attractions.
Thank you for staying with me till the end of the conference. We've had 2 very interesting days of exciting sessions, and I've heard the word Google mentioned so many times. Right now, I'd like to bring you the point of view from Google. So here in APAC, we feel the excitement behind the tremendous opportunity that's in front of us. With over 2 billion internet users in APAC, we are about half of the global internet population today. But this is only half of the addressable internet user base in APAC, and the rest have yet to come online. At 40% of the global online travel booking revenue, APAC is growing at almost 3 times the growth rate of North America. And yet, more than 80% of our tours and activities operators are not even online yet. But APAC is extremely diverse. With 39 countries in APAC, we have just as many languages and cultures. How do you strike a balance between trying to localize and be authentic versus reaping the benefits of economies of scale and to address such a diverse user base? It all begins with a search, and that's where we come in. Over half of the users in India and in Australia are already coming to Google to use search to start the travel planning process. And almost 50% of Indians also use YouTube to watch videos to inspire themselves about destinations. So the travel journey does not start at the end destination. It starts all the way at the beginning, at the intent. Where do I go? What should I do? And how do I get there? Users already come to Google to research for travel across multiple platforms. Some go to Google Search to look for flights. Some go to Google Maps to look for hotels. And some go to YouTube to look for destination content. Are you present across all of these platforms today? Can users find your products, your content, your brand in all these platforms? We are seeing that the user search queries grow across all of them, and these are not the only platforms that we have on Google. Travel planning is a long and complex process. Think about the last time you planned a family trip. Have you planned your summer vacation, your Christmas vacation? How long did it take for you to even decide on a destination, let alone find the right flight, find the right hotel, and then figure out what to do when you're in the destination? Dan here took 2.5 months and across 600 different touch points, across websites, across mobile sites, across apps, to plan and book his travel. I started my Christmas travel research 2 months ago, and only last weekend did I book the flight. Now I have to go figure out where I'm going to stay, what I'm going to do, and make some reservations around it. So we know that Google is receiving a lot of travel search queries. Our goal here is to help users organize this information, find them at the right time, at the right place, and then help them to make the best decisions possible in an effortless way. I'm pleased to show you our new Google Travel homepage that we announced a month ago. This is found on google.com/travel and aims to bring together all your trip planning assets into one location. At the same time, we want to make it accessible through other Google platforms, such as Search and Maps. So in one site, you can see your reservations, you can find inspiration and a travel guide about possible destinations that you want to go to, and then carry on to book a flight, a hotel, or a package. A package in this definition is a flight plus hotel together. My wish is to see activities as the next tab that we have here. Douglas spoke a little bit about mobile first. This interface was actually available on mobile for a year before we launched this on desktop, and that's how we are designing our products today, mobile first. So showing you a little bit more about what we have on this page, upcoming trips. This is created based on confirmations that you have received in your Gmail accounts. If you've received a flight confirmation, a hotel confirmation, Google parses these emails and puts them into an upcoming trip for you. and tries to remind you they're going on this trip and then carry on to find out more about these destinations. So if you have not marked up your email confirmations today, please go look up the markup specs. Potential trips, we build them based on what we know of your search query intent. If you've searched for certain destinations, we think you're likely to want to explore going to these places. So we put them in potential trips, and we encourage users to go back into Google Travel and search for flights, hotels, and ultimately go to the destination and book some activities there. If I still haven't decided where to go, I'd like to find out about a destination, say Bangkok. Here's a travel guide about Bangkok. We have pulled in information from Google Maps about things to do and all the top sites you need to see. But at the same time, we want to provide a balanced point of view. What are other people saying about Bangkok? So we've pulled in travel articles from around the web, as well as travel videos that all the partners have uploaded to YouTube. But what we realize is that traveler preferences are shifting from things to see to things to do. And things to see, when we tend to recommend, here are the top sites. You have to go to Chatuchak Market, you have to go and see all the top temples. But traveler preferences are starting to look for experiences as well. So we are starting to run a series of experiments where we are blending results. Here you can see, go take a tuk-tuk ride, go to Chinatown and try out the street food, go take a ferry ride down the river, which I'm glad to say we all did yesterday. On the right, you'll see an experiment called Touring Bird that we've done and we've worked with our partners to provide curated tours and activities that are bookable through our partners. Such as, if you want to do a tuk-tuk tour, you can do it and go check out the best places to eat. You can take a cooking class while you're here, or go further out and take a speedboat ride through the floating market. So Google Trips app was our first foray into the world of in-destination tours, activities, and transfers. Back in 2017, we worked with quite a few pilot partners, many of whom are in this room, to launch discounts on Google Trips app. This will enable users to be able to find discounts while they're in destination and drive them to our partner's website to make bookings while they're in destination. We learned a lot from this Google Trips app, and we took the best of Google Trips app features and have put them into various Google assets. So reservations, you saw it in My Trips earlier. Things to do, you saw it in Google Maps, you see it in Google Search, you see it in the travel guide. And day plans, suggested itineraries, is found on Explore tab in the Google Travel homepage. So we've taken a lot of these learnings and pushed them out into other surfaces where users can find them more easily. But we'll be saying goodbye to Google Trips app from August 5th, and with it, we will sunset the discounts experiment. Touring Bird, in parallel, grew from what we call an Area 120 incubator. This is Google's workshop for experimental projects. So the Touring Bird team set out to solve a problem. We all know how fragmented the tours and activities market is. If you search for the Eiffel Tower, and what tours and tickets do you have around the Eiffel Tower, you probably get hundreds of results. How do you even choose? How do you even compare? And that's what the Touring Bird team set out to do. They looked at it from the user point of view and said, okay, as a user, how do I break it down? I would like to see the Eiffel Tower, but I don't want to pay for a tour guide. I want to pay for a skip-the-line ticket, and I want a Louvre tour, but I do not want a dinner cruise. And Touring Bird then presented the right OTA to book with. So this way, they like to call it the hamburger menu. You choose what you want, and you drop the ones that you don't want, and you choose the right burger at the end of the day. What was interesting about Touring Bird was also they allowed users to compare paid activities with free activities that you could do yourself. So your competition is not just against each other, it is against free. They don't have to pay for a tour guide. They don't have to pay for a tour. So how do you differentiate yourself versus them going by themselves? Additionally, users or travelers are looking for the insider feel, the insider experience. What can you do if you were to live like a local for a day? So we've worked with local guides to be able to provide local tips and local insights on what you can do if you were to be living like a local in that country or that city. Touring Bird today is launched in 200 cities around the world, and we are in the process of graduating Touring Bird from the incubator. So stay tuned to see what's to come as well. In parallel, we've heard Reserve with Google mentioned quite a bit in the last 2 days. So Reserve with Google started with a mission of enabling booking within businesses that are found in Google Search and Google Maps. They started from the point of view of enabling dining reservations to being able to book a hair appointment or a yoga session at these businesses that are located on Google Maps. Things to do is naturally the next category they're going to look at. And things to do spans events, tours and activities, and attractions. We saw Fiona's business show up here yesterday. So this is one of the ways that we are trying to scale this program. The first thing to do to achieve scale is to work with all the largest OTAs and reservation systems out there to be able to give us the greatest reach into as many businesses and tour operators as possible. So a lot of them are here in the room. Resti, Checkfront just announced today. We also have TripAdvisor Experiences tickets that are participating with us. So go speak with any of them. So finally, Google sees travel planning as starting from the point of intent all the way until they're in destination. We're still working through the various methods and various experiments to be able to optimize the way tours and activities shows up on Google. So what we want to do is to make sure that the experience is optimal for the users to enable comparison shopping across multiple providers to find the best value for what is aligned with their interests, and also to provide a platform that as many partners as possible can work with us to be able to showcase all of the content or all of the products that you have here in this room. So stay in touch, and we hope that there are more updates to come. Thank you.
Eugenie. So before we let you go, just a few questions. So let's have a seat, and because that's a pretty big deal, right, for Google to I mean, it's like a travel site, right? It's just sort of going back to what you originally talked about, like the launch of the new Trips site. I mean, this is, it looks a lot like, like Expedia, or another online travel agency. And so I would imagine, there's some concern out there in the marketplace, right? So a lot of us will go to Google and we'll enter a search like flights to Bangkok or vacations to Bangkok, and you're the marketplace or that initial pathway in, and then you've got Google links to Google Trips, but also to Expedia or to other websites. So what do you say to some of these other companies who are your advertisers? They spend lots and lots of money with Google Travel, and you're kind of in conflict, right, or in competition with your own advertisers as you create more travel products. So how do you, what do you say to them when you get that concern? It's got to come up in your meetings.
Well, I think the first line to draw is that we are not a tour operator. We do not have tour guides. We are not conducting tours on the ground. So our goal here is to help users find the right tours and the right operators and the right booking partners to go to. And so we position ourselves in the space of comparison shopping in the hotels and flights world. That's what they call a meta search player. So we provide information to the users.
So just to be clear then, when you say meta search, so when it comes to the other travel products, the rest of travel, not the good stuff, but the flights and the hotels and all that. So the booking isn't happening on Google, right? You're not doing the booking, or are you?
So we do not own the merchant of record. So at the end of the day, we want to pass users back to our partners. What we do is try to make the booking process as seamless as possible. So there are various ways that a user could book. One is we could let them link out and go to the OTAs or operators' websites to book. And the other is to have facilitated booking. Facilitated booking is what you see on Reserve with Google. It is what you see on Book on Google in flights and hotels. That is where we allow users to complete the transaction on our site. We pass it to the partner, and the partner follows up with the confirmation email. The partner follows up with the customer service, and the partner owns the customer from that point forward. So we stop short at actually owning the customer and stop short at supporting them from a customer service point of view.
Okay, so let's kind of bring that into to tours and activities and attractions. So there are a lot of parts to this, right? So you've got their search, and there's maps, there's Touring Bird, which is separate, right? So there's like a separate incubator, and the message that's been coming out of the Touring Bird team and also from Google Travel so far is it's separate. So it's not in. So if I do a search for things to do today, I'm not going to see Touring Bird come up in the search results yet. Is that?
For now, Touring Bird, it functions like a separate website. It is not Google branded. It works as an independent website. It has its own SEO. It participates in its own SEM, search engine optimization and search engine marketing. What we are trying to do is figure out how to graduate them from the incubator, and that will mean, as part of Google, how do we build out and grow a proper activities product within the Google environment, tied in with the rest of the travel experience.
Okay, and that does not offer booking, the Touring Bird, at the moment.
No, so Touring Bird works with all our partners in this room and redirects the booking to our partners' websites.
Okay, so now we did have one question come in online in advance. So an operator, I think from India, he asked the question. So why? In fact, I think it was Moeed from Keeper Landway. If you're here, Moeed. I think you asked, why would Google work with all of the OTAs? It seems like when you do Touring Bird, so it's links to Get Your Guide or Viator or so forth. Why work with the OTAs? I think from an operator's perspective, wouldn't it be nice if we could have that that link? That would certainly save us a couple of bucks, right?
So for those who attended my workshop yesterday, you'll know that there are quite a few avenues for you to manage your online presence. First, your website. You have to. Users come to you directly through your website. And how is your website found? It's a combination of organic search ranking, so make sure that you make your website load fast, make sure it's optimized and ranks highly in search results. Search engine marketing is where you advertise for AdWords based on keywords. So if somebody's looking for your brand, you want to be the first result that shows up, not a competitor or not a distributor. If that's your objective, that's fine too. But that's on your website. The other aspect is your presence on Google. Your presence on Google shows up within Google Maps, within Google Search, and we pull it into Google Travel as well. So manage your Google My Business profile, make sure you claim your listing, and using this listing, you can convey information about your business and your photos directly to users. There's also something called posts on Google, where you can post information about your tours within your own business page and drive a call to action so users can book with you directly. But all this is limited by your time and your effort. I think working with distributors, working with channel managers, working with OTAs gives you scale. Working with Google gives you scale to reach countries, to reach users that are beyond your knowledge base, that are in countries that you don't have resources to go market in, and maybe somebody else has that trust within those other countries and other user bases.
So, but the direct pass through. So, from whether it's from Touring Bird or from Reserve, like that pass through seems to be to an intermediary. Could you? Is there a future where the operator potentially could, own that link or at least bid on that? On that link directly. I think we see that in the hotel products, right? So I think that would, if we were to look at that kind of the product pathway of the hotel side, that would be the expectation here.
Exactly. So in the hotels world, we build scale by working with all the top OTAs in the world because they have the greatest reach and they bring on board a large number of properties. But we know that hotels all want to drive direct bookings as well because this saves them the commission. And so what we do is we work with a lot of intermediaries, usually channel managers and reservation systems, to bring on board hotels directly. And so the booking gets passed through the intermediaries directly to the hotel's booking engine. We are seeing the same, and we are doing the same in the activity space. So in Reserve with Google, we have a mix of partners. All your aggregators include the OTAs, as well as the reservation systems. And with these two channels, we hope that, or at least from Google's point of view, we try to get as much coverage as possible and as much reach into all the tours and activities in the world.
So we had an interesting example come up in the roundtable, the distribution roundtable yesterday morning. So Fiona Sweetman from Hidden Secrets Tours in Melbourne. So yeah, Bruce, you did a search for the brand name, and well, the first thing that came up was not the link to her website, right? So like you had said earlier, well, make sure that your link, your brand comes up first before a distributor or a competitor. But most operators, they don't quite have the budgets of a Klook or a TripAdvisor. So what guidance or advice do you give to that small to medium-sized operator that's that they're they're on a different playing field, right, in terms of marketing spend?
Yeah, so I had to sit down with Fiona today, and we kind of talked through some of these comments. It was insightful to hear from her point of view that, I'm happy to have my bookings be redirected through TripAdvisor because they've done the work to integrate with Google, and she shows up and has that booking enabled through Reserve with Google, which is great. But where she thinks that she could possibly get a direct user could be two things. One is we saw that the ad that first showed up in the search was a TripAdvisor ad, and there's actually space for a few more ads. So if a user is searching for your brand name, why shouldn't you be the first result that shows up? It takes, $1 a day to start participating on AdWords, experiment, pick out a few keywords like Hidden Secrets Tours, Walking Tours Melbourne, Melbourne Tours, and just see what happens and see if users are coming directly to your website, and maybe that saves you the commission as well.
One last question. So on Reserve with Google, so the potential, it just seems quite enormous, right? When you think about booking directly on Google, on the one hand, right, it seems obvious. On the other hand, the mission of Google is to organize the world's information, right? I don't think I've ever bought anything on Google personally. I don't think people think, okay, I'm going to buy stuff. I'm going to go to, in the U.S. it's like Amazon, right? Or it's Alibaba. If I'm going to go in Asia or China, right? But if I'm searching, I'm going to Baidu. I'm going to Google. Are people buying stuff? Is that mind shift? Is that happening? Will people buy stuff from Google?
Well, let me clarify again. We don't sell stuff other than.
Well, but if it's a reserve button and it's facilitated and the skin, it's always coming through Google. Frankly, when we do surveys, and people half the time are saying, "Well, I think I bought my flight through Google." So there is a lot of potential kind of confusion, right?
Yep. Not necessarily. So in the flights and hotels, we make it very clear that even though you are booking on Google, you are booking on Google with this airline, you're booking on Google with this hotel, and your confirmation will come from this partner. So we make it quite clear that it's a facilitated booking, and you have to follow up with this supplier to follow up on customer service or to make any changes. What we have heard from our partners who've worked with us on this is that they actually see a lot of incremental users come in through Google. Some of the suppliers would say, hey, I'm dominant in my market. Users would come to me directly. That's fine. If users can go to you directly, you don't need Google. However, what they realized was, up to 80% of the users that are coming from Google to their website are non-loyalty customers. That is actually a big uplift in a new user base that Google has helped them to acquire. So by being able to present comparison shopping, we allow users to make more informed decisions, and by the time they click to your website, they're already ready to book.
Well, I think there's lots probably to come from Google. I know we will all be watching very closely. So Eugenie, thank you very much for sharing us your views.
We hope you enjoyed this session from Arival, the only event dedicated to creators and sellers of tours, activities, and attractions. Head to arrivalevent.com to register for upcoming conferences around the globe. And for insights into the in-destination industry, head to arrival.travel.